The Dodgers can't handle the Angels in 2025, and Los Angeles just saw their divisional lead shrink to 1 game. Let's overreact to it.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. A frustrating last 2 innings on Sunday against the great Blue Jays team were followed up by a lifeless performance on Monday versus an Angels team 6 game back of a wild card spot. Now the Dodgers' divisional lead is down to 1 game. Travis, are you okay with me pressing the panic button?
I think you should at least locate it on your desk, Harry, because you might need it sooner than later. I don't think you need to push it yet, but you need to know where it is. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit FanDuel and the FanDuel app today and start placing your futures bets now.
He's Travis Rogers. I'm Harry Ruiz, 2 guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger blue for life. If you're an early bird listener of our show, you can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 9 to noon with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans, but nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you, even though the last month it feels more like Dodger therapy, talking about what's going down with this team because it's too much inconsistency from our boys in blue. They entered the 4th of July with a 9-game lead in the NL West, but since then, since getting absolutely whooped by the Astros on Independence Day, they've gone 12-19. That's a .387 winning percentage in that span. To put it in perspective, Travis, only 2 teams, the White Sox and Rockies, have a worse winning percentage overall this season than the Dodgers over their last 31 games.
Yeah, I heard something on the broadcast last night that really brought that home, Harry, what you're talking about, that struggle that they've been in since about the 4th of July. The Dodgers haven't won 3 games in a row in a month. In a month, they haven't won 3 games in a row, and just about every other team in Major League Baseball has, including the White Sox. And that, the Dodgers haven't swept a series since the White Sox. They just have not been able to find a way to stack good game after good game after good game. And last night was a great example. I know they lost on Sunday, but there were some positives. There were some things that weren't great on Sunday as well, but Friday was good. Saturday was good. Sunday had some good things in it. And then last night was just an absolute faceplant against a team that you need to beat. Now, best case scenario, you lose 4 out of 6 to them this season. The Angels are not a playoff team. The Angels are not going to finish the season over 500. And the inability to go in there and put together any sort of momentum and rally and quality baseball, they just looked lifeless. I liked how you said that. Just a really lifeless performance from the Dodgers last night.
Yeah, and after losing to Anaheim for the 4th time this season, for the 5th time in a row, if we include 2024, the Dodgers' divisional lead against the Padres is down to 1 game for the first time since June 10th. And unfortunately, I don't feel confident right now with them. We've seen flashes here and there, nothing that inspires me to say we got it. Even going back to the Friday and Saturday games against the Blue Jays, where it's like, hey, that was back-to-back games. And then Sunday, they let the Blue Jays just hang around. They crept up and they got the win. And since then, downhill once again. Yes, I know it's just 2 days. And if they win the next 2 games against the Angels,
I'm with you.
They had won the series and will have at least a 2-game lead against the Padres going into their weekend series. I still don't feel that this team is in a spot where they can just relax. They should be in the position every team that plays against them is, that for them, it's their World Series playing against the Dodgers. The Dodgers got to get that mentality right now. And is it too late to make any changes right now, Travis? Because we're already it's August 12th as we're filming right now.
Yeah, I mean, that as far as changes go, yeah, it kind of is. Trade deadline's passed. I mean, you can tinker a little bit with what you have down in the minor leagues. You can try to shuffle some of that deck, but it's not going to be a major change. The everydayers have heard me say this before. This is something that I asked Oral Hershiser when I spoke with him on my radio show last week. And the question was, we keep waiting, to your point, Harry, for this team to click in, for this team to look like the team that we were hoping that they would be. Man, rewind the tape all the way back to the beginning of the season, and the conversation was, are they going to win 115 games or are they going to win 120 games? That was like, well, hold on a second. Baseball doesn't quite work like that. But now here we are, like you said, August 12th, and they are a game ahead of the San Diego Padres. They haven't looked good doing it. They're playing bad baseball over the course of the last month. And this may just be who they are in 2025. That's what I asked Oral. Is the good run of baseball coming? Is that month, like we just saw the Milwaukee Brewers finish off? The Milwaukee Brewers are 25-4 in their last 29 games. Is a run like that going to happen? It's happened just about every single season for the Dodgers over about the last 10 years, where they have a month or two where they're just way better than everybody else. They start stacking a bunch of wins together. They open up a big division lead, and it hasn't happened. It's late. It's not the end, but we're getting to the point where you can see it from here. And this may just be who they are, that we would have seen a good stretch of baseball against pretty good teams. I know what you were talking about right before the 4th of July. They were playing the Colorado Rockies. They were playing the Chicago White Sox, and they stacked some wins there. Those are the two worst teams in baseball. It doesn't fill you with a great deal of confidence knowing that those are the teams you can stack them up against. But when you play against teams that are 500 or at least thereabouts, they've really struggled. This may be who they are. And even though they took a little bit of an upturn against Toronto, they fell right back into this hole last night. Chance to come out of it again tonight, but they have not looked like a good baseball team in 45, 50 days or so. And that's a really long time to not find your stride. And I'm starting to think that this may just be who they are. Now, if I'm being as positive as I can be, this may be good enough to win it anyway. It's just the difference is now you got to get a little lucky. Now you got to have some breaks go your way. You're not just going to bludgeon the opposition by being a lot better than they are, playing a lot better, that you're going to have to have a couple of things break your way. Because I do believe that they're as close to a lock as you can be getting into the postseason. But the way they're playing right now does not lead you to believe that they have a really good chance against anybody. A chance, sure. A good chance, I don't know. They just have not looked right for a really long time.
Yeah, and the way they're winning right now, over their last 31 games, they would win 4 out of 10. That's not good enough to win a series, either in a 3-5 format or a 4-7 format. So That's something that's very concerning. And you brought up, this team can't make no trades anymore. The trade deadline is way past gone, but there's a fella in AAA by the name of Ryan Ward who has hit 28 home runs this season with the OKC Comets. Last year, he hit over 30 home runs. He has been in the minor leagues with the Dodgers since 2019, yet they preferred calling up Justin Dean, who they subbed in as a pinch runner and a defensive replacement, but didn't let take an at-bat the last 2 days. Same case with Esteury Ruiz. He's a speedster and outfield help, but nothing with the bat. I think that desperate times call for desperate measures, and it was cool to see Michael Conforto get his confidence back in July. But as the trade deadline went by, he's back to being Forto. 3 for 27 this month with 3 walks. That's less than 120 batting average. It's time for, what else can you do there with Michael Conforto, where it feels like, okay, the trade deadline, he wasn't cut, he didn't get traded. Now I'm comfortable in my spot. Let's bring up somebody with hunger, somebody that wants to make a difference in this team, because with all due respect for Michael Conforto, he's making a lot of money. He's more than okay with going back to the couch or being DFA'd and being sent somewhere else. This Dodgers team needs a spark. I don't know if this kid can get it for the Dodgers, Ryan Ward, but right now, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Not more of the same, I guess, would be the answer to your question. As far as what's the worst thing that could happen, it would just continue to go like this. I'm with you. I think that
they're already there.
Yeah. That there is nothing that's off the table at this point. I really do. I really would, I should say, be surprised if they did something dramatic like DFA Michael Conforto. They're paying him $18 million, and even the Dodgers don't want to just eat that. But the closer you get to the end, and if he's not a valuable contributor, maybe something like that happens. I do think there's a scenario that exists where maybe he's not a regular part of what you're doing if and when you get into the postseason. But I think one of the great things about the Dodgers, and one of the things that I give Andrew Friedman a lot of credit for, and I give Dave Roberts a lot of credit for, is their confidence and their patience. That, and with Friedman specifically, I'll use this as an example, that the fire on Dave Roberts' feet was really hot for a few years, and they refused to do anything about it. They believed in what it is that they were doing, and they were ultimately rewarded by that last year with the way that it went. That Dave Roberts is incredibly patient and letting guys work through things, whether that was with Max Muncy earlier this year, whether that's with the insistence on leaving Mookie Betts at shortstop, and it looks like he had a couple of hits last night, so he's starting to come back a little bit offensively. So they are really reluctant to make dramatic changes at any point. They're smaller changes. They will do some things that they think are necessary, but they don't do the sky is falling, let's just start doing all sorts. That's not how they roll, period. That being said, we're getting into the point where maybe you need to try some things that are a little more dramatic than you typically would, because look, by the time the Dodgers and Padres open that series on Friday, the Dodgers could be in second place. I mean, they'd have to get swept. The Padres would have to continue to win, but the way things are going, it doesn't feel like that's totally off the table. And the last thing you want is to have to absolutely smash the gas down the stretch to make sure you get in the playoffs, never mind win the division, because we know how temperamental that pitching staff is. We know how temperamental that bullpen is. And the more you have to really lean on them, the earlier you have to do it, the more variables there are, the more opportunities there are for injuries. So they need to get it together. They need to play better. They need to bring some sort of energy to the ballpark night after night after night. It did feel like they did it on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday and Monday, it was right back to the same old, we're okay. It'll be fine. We'll work it out. We got better players, and it's not working out.
Hey, once again, Conforto, you brought up about the cookie on Sunday that he didn't take advantage of. It happened again on Monday. My dad is diabetic. Not even he has let go of an opportunity of grabbing at least one of those cookies in 2 days in a row. But, well, next on Locked On Dodgers, it wasn't Yamamoto's night in Orange County. No. Is it time to give him a break with a stint on the IL ahead of October? If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber you called didn't answer, did you wait? No, you just called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more, who's handling this? OpenPhone is offering Locked On Dodgers listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday. We need more for football fans who live for bold predictions and, of course, preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Who is the pick for MVP? Josh Allen last year, Patrick Mahomes just about every other year. Who do you like? The pick to win the Super Bowl? I'll go with my team. Of course, I do Locked On Rams as well. I like the Rams. You get some pretty good odds on the Rams right now. And, of course, you can take a look at some of the long shot dark horse division winners as well. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. Like Andy, who said in yesterday's episode, rule number 1, with a game on the line, don't pinch hit Michael Conforto. Bring up a right-handed batter. Bring up the bat boy. Bring up Tommy Edmonds' grandmother. Just not Conforto. Well, in a day like Monday, where nobody showed up, including Conforto, it didn't matter what type of performance Yoshinobu Yamamoto had. But right off the get-go, after his first pitch, the Dodgers were already down 1-0 after allowing a solo bomb. A lot of traffic in the first inning, yet he limited the damage to 2 there. He had the worst outing of his career overall. 6 hits allowed, 5 walks conceded, 6 earned runs. Is it time to just say, Travis, we're concerned, we're worried about Yoshi? Maybe when we saw him get his start pushed today by Dave Roberts, it was like, is something going on over there? Is it time to, let's remember, he hasn't missed a start in the rotation this year. After last season, he was out for a while with an injury. Is it time to potentially just give him a rest now that the Dodgers have a 6-man rotation?
I want to answer the Yamamoto question, and I will, but I want to go back to Andy's comment on the YouTube page, which appreciate all the comments on the YouTube page. And me, Travis Rogers, as a Dodger fan, very frustrated by Michael Conforto and his lack of production this season. I'm with you. He's not the only one. The Dodgers are not losing all of these games because Michael Conforto is a big black hole in the middle of the lineup. He has not had a good year. It has not hit the way that they hope to. This is a problem that is running up and down the lineup. This is a problem that is running up and down the bullpen. This is a problem that extended to the starting pitcher last night, like you mentioned with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So I'm as frustrated with Conforto as the next guy, but it's not like if you just pluck him out and drop somebody else in there, everything fixes itself. That's not what's happening. So I needed to say that out loud. As far as Yamamoto goes, yeah, I think it's possible. I think that, here we are in the 5th month of the regular season, the middle of the 5th month of the regular season, and that he hasn't missed a turn is both remarkable and really surprising. Like you just don't see guys do this very much anymore, where they go through the vast majority of the season without missing their turn. I'm going to try to paint this in a positive light. Yamamoto, when he's off, he's way off. Like when he has a bad night, he has a bad night. Last night was a bad night for him. Like you mentioned, Zach Neto hits the first pitch of the ball game out of the ballpark, and all of a sudden you're behind and you haven't even had your first sip of beer last night. So it was a bad start. But he's also, when he's on, he's really on. I don't know if last night was a function of him with fatigue or some sort of nagging injury or something like that. I don't know. I would defer to Dave Roberts, the medical staff, Andrew Friedman, and Yamamoto himself to determine whether or not just going and sitting down for a week or two would help him with that. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. What I do think about Yamamoto, and I'm looking at this positively, there are a bunch of games, a bunch is too strong. There are a few games last season, there are a few games this season where he's just flat not very good. And last night was one of those nights where he's not very good. The good news is they don't come around all that often. He almost always follows a start with a pretty good one. So we'll see what happens. I'm open to the prospect of sitting him down, getting him fresh, getting him ready for the September stretch, the October stretch, and having him at his best. But of all the Dodger guys, sometimes he seems to be the one that has well, man, that was a weird kind of night. And last night was one of those nights where he just got knocked around. He just wasn't very good.
Yeah, and support what you just said right there. You go back to his last 6 starts. The first one of them, 6, was the one where he didn't even get through an inning.
Right.
In Milwaukee, where he had 4 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned, and then he followed it up with the masterpiece in San Francisco, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, and it seems like it's been alternating. It's out of those 6 starts, it's been 3 good, 3 bad, and fortunately for Yoshi, he's not the only Dodgers ace on the rotation anymore. He's getting support from the likes of Glass now. He's getting support from the likes of Snell. He's getting support from the likes of Shohei Ohtani. It's not all the burden is on his back. It's like, no, now it's shared. And it's like, we have to win on Yoshi Day. If not, we're screwed for the rest of the week. And that's where I feel that it comes to saying, you know what? It might be a good moment to reset instead of just giving him an extra day, which for pitchers, you know how they're monsters of habit. If you give him an extra day, he's out of funk. He's not in the same state of mind that he was, where it was like, wait, I was supposed to pitch on Sunday. Now I'm going to pitch on Monday. What's going on? I think it's better. You know what? Take 10 days off. You'll only miss 2 starts. And on the 11th day, you'll start for the Dodgers. But I mean, like you said, if the bats disappear, it's not only Conforto's responsibility. It's mostly all around from, what was it, like the 6th spot through the 9th spot. You look at their stats yesterday, they were awful. They were terrible. And even the guys up top, their stats came late in the game where it's like, all right. So it's like, okay, let's see what the Dodgers can do. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's going to be key for the Dodgers in the postseason if they want to make some noise. And that's something where, okay, you aren't trusting the bats, but I feel right now you're trusting the arms when it comes to October, and Yoshi's key there.
It's funny. I don't know if you're a golfer or not, Harry, but the golfers in the audience will certainly understand this. There are, if you play golf, some days you hit your driver really well. And then there are other days where you hit your irons really well. And then there's another day where you're making some putts. And there's some days where you chip really well. There's some days where you can scramble. But there's never a day where everything connects the way that you want it to, where everything is just one thing after the next. And hey, I got this working, this working, this one. That's kind of the Dodgers this year. That when one thing is clicking, the other thing isn't. When the offense is bombing, the pitching isn't good, or the bullpen isn't good. When the bullpen is finally clicking, half of your starting rotation is on the IL. When your starting rotation's really good, somebody on the bullpen is struggling. That they haven't been able to get all those sliders over to one side on any given day. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it'll help with the DL or an IL stint. Maybe it'll come with Conforto out of the line. There's a lot of things that aren't working right now, but the one thing that I feel oddly, even with Yamamoto getting knocked around last night, their starting pitching is good and it's deep. And so if you needed to give Yamamoto a breather, if you needed to sit him down a time or two through the rotation, you got Emmett Sheehan, who's going pretty well. You're already in a 6-man rotation. You've got a guy like Justin Robleski. You've got a guy available to you if you need him, like Landon Knack. You can put Ben Kasparius back in the starting rotation. There are some solutions, or at least stopgap measures that you can do right there. Because look, we saw last year, right? Yamamoto was a huge reason that they won the World Series. He pitched Game 5 against the Padres in the DS. He pitched a beauty in the World Series a couple of times. Like, Yamamoto is one of the guys that you almost certainly have to have clicking at a high level. He hasn't been great for a month, but that in the short time that he's been here, Harry, he's a gamer, man. Like, that guy shows up when you really need to have him. So I think he'll be okay. It was a bad night for him, but I'm not fatalistic on that one. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, and I'll say that. While everybody was hurt, he was healthy, and he was keeping this boat afloat. Now it's his turn to see everybody else there. Maybe it's his time. Like I said, get a little bit of rest, reset, get ready for September and October, even though right now we're in a super tight race.
First. Yeah.
And being in a tight race coming up on Locked On Dodgers. Did the Dodgers punt the game too early last night, or was Dave Roberts right by pulling 2 starters more than halfway through? Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue. Their gear hits the mark for Dodgers fans like me. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you with a smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. You can wear it at tailgates, tee times, and just out running errands. I always get compliments when I rock mine. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with the code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Rogers, just like Dodgers, just replace the D for an R. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Let us know if you think Dave Roberts waved the white flag too early on Monday. And I mean, you look at how the game was going. The Dodgers were down 7-0. Freddie Freeman was taken out after his at-bat in the 6th. Andy Pages followed suit after his at-bat in the 7th. They didn't have their first runner in scoring position until the 7th, where they ended up having the bases loaded and Alex Freeland grounded into a double play with the team down by 7 runs.
Yeah.
And then an inning later, Shohei Ohtani hit a home run solo. Max Muncy followed suit with a 3-run bomb, and all of a sudden it was a 3-run game. Travis, in my opinion, yes, I understand you want to get Freddie Freeman off his feet. You want to get him. It's like, okay, this game is out of reach. Or Andy Pages, I don't understand. You should have him out there. He's a second-year player. Why not? But they're professionals. They're getting paid, most of them, hundreds of millions of dollars. They should be out there every single game, especially knowing that you got an off day on Thursday.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more about Pages. I don't, unless he's got a little something that we don't know about Harry. Maybe he's, and that's possible. I will always leave that out there. Maybe, and I'm speculating here, a knee, a shoulder, or something. Just okay, we're down 7 runs. It's the late innings. Let's let him go in there and get an extra hour and a half off of his feet, whatever it is. Okay, but I'm with you. Generally speaking, I do not understand the idea of kind of pulling the ripcord. I get it. It's 7 runs and it's, we're past the halfway point and it's very unlikely, but this team does have some explosivity that could show up at any time. And quite frankly, I think that as much as anything, the calendar is the part that made me quite, if this was in May, absolutely pull the cord and see what, dude, you got a 1-game lead. I guess last night it was still potentially a 2-game lead. Like, the results, for me at least, Harry, I kind of turned the page after the Toronto series with let me back up a little bit. When I watch most of these games, I'm a big believer in the Dodgers having the better team or whoever has the better team. Let's just be as healthy as we can. Let's be strategic in this. And over 162 games, they're going to win enough games that they don't need to think of any one game as being particularly important. That when you have 106, I mean, just do the math of it all. Each game is less than 1% of your season. They don't really mean that much individually until you get into this part of the season where one game can be a huge difference. And one game can be the difference between coming into a series with a 2-game lead or a 1-game lead. I was surprised that here we are, middle of August, and they kind of punted on a game that was likely out of range, but not 100% out of range. I felt the same way you did, and I don't think if it's 10 runs in the 7th or 8th inning, sure, but 7 feels just close enough, and you had gotten some traffic there in the 6th that maybe you roll it out one more inning because look, they're in a fight now. And this idea, well, once they get to October, they need to get to October. And that's a weird thing to say for this team with what they have, but it's true. They're only I think it's 3.5 games up on the last wild card spot. It's just a really weird deal they find themselves in all of a sudden.
I mean, do you remember 2021 with the Dodgers when losing the division by 1 game against the San Francisco Giants, despite winning 106 games that season? They ended up being 2nd place and having to go through the extra round. And it's like, that's not the right.
They ran out of gas. I know they beat the Giants that year and in the first round, but you could tell it took a little something out of them. And just to go back to that year as well, I'm glad you brought that up. It was, that was a little bit different too, because like you just said, that was a team that won 106 games. That was a really good team that was winning a bunch, playing pretty good baseball. This team is not that. This team is winning some, and they're not playing well. They're wildly inconsistent. The Dodgers didn't win the division that year because the Giants just went nuts. That's not what's happening right now. The Dodgers are falling. The Padres aren't surging. It's just that the Dodgers keep getting closer and closer to their level. It's a little bit of a different monster this time around.
Yeah, right now there's 68 and 51. Like you said, Padres they're one game back. You look at other teams, the Phillies, they're catching fire. They're playing
Yep.
really good baseball right now. The Brewers, they're in another world right now. Their second 10-plus winning streak in 2025. Now you just don't have to focus on who's behind you in the division. You got to look at the rest of the league and say they're playing really good baseball. And unfortunately for the Dodgers, I mean, you look at Sunday. We were criticizing them because they left too many men on base. They had a super low batting average with runners in scoring position. How did they come back the next night? Well, they can't be criticized for that because they only had 2 hits through the first 6 innings and no runner made it into second base until the 7th inning. So it's like 2 night and day performances. We knew that they wouldn't have another game like that, but to go from, it was night and day from the way the Dodgers were able to create traffic, the way that the Dodgers put themselves in positions to succeed on Sunday and didn't do so, to then Monday just belly flopping and just absolutely not doing anything.
Yeah, they had a bunch of guys on base at the end of the Blue Jays game on Sunday, but they didn't get a bunch of hits. Like it was just the Blue Jays kind of loaded the gun against themselves. It's not like the Dodgers had put them in that position, and that just continued to go into yesterday until you got into the 7th inning, and then they finally started to get a little something going. And again, this is part of the thing with the Dodgers that is a little frustrating for me this year. It's there are little flashes and spurts where, oh, there it is, and then it just goes away again. And then, oh, all of a sudden, the 8th inning, there it is, Ohtani homers, Muncy homers. It's like, okay, here we go. And then nothing. It just, they haven't been able to stack one thing on top of the next throughout most of the last couple of months. And they're running out of time. It's 2 things can be true at the same time. They are running out of time, and there's still a ton of time to go. Even teams that have not found their footing will have a run in the season that is abnormally good. I think the Brewers, like you mentioned a second ago, are on the 2 10-game winning streaks, like you mentioned. They're having that run right now. By the way, that's not going to last 4 months. That's not. They're going to come back to earth, which if I were a Brewer fan would make me a little bit uneasy. The Dodgers, other than the 8-0 to start the season, and even that was a little misleading because they got a little lucky in some of that stuff. They haven't had that run where like, uh-oh, here they come. And even bad teams have that run. The Dodgers are not a bad team. I think the run is coming. But again, August 12th, it needs to come sooner than later.
Yeah, and just to close the show, Dodgers bases loaded over the last 2 games, 0 for 6 with 2 strikeouts, 1 double play. 2 more plate appearances because Freddie Freeman drew 2 bases loaded walks. But man, you have to come through in those type of scenarios and make games. Even Shohei Ohtani, look at the 9th inning against the Blue Jays. A sac fly ties the game and gives us extra life. Or you go over to the game on Monday where you had the bases loaded. If you get a hit right there and make the game closer in the 7th inning, then it feels different going into the 8th, but that definitely wasn't the case. They have more opportunities. They have more games left. Hopefully they change our mind and make me from pressing that panic button left and right to being like, okay, maybe I can let that panic button right there chill for a bit and have a relaxed, or not as relaxed because we're only 1 game ahead.
Yeah.
Have a little bit more peace of mind of being like, okay, we have this team. We can perform a good way the rest of the way.
I think you dust it off. I think you get out your Windex, you polish it, you make sure you know exactly where that panic button is, but I don't think you can hit it until we're into September and they're not in first place. I think that's when it becomes a real panic situation. This is a frustrating situation. This is a concerning situation, but they still got a lot of good players. They got a lot of really great starting pitchers, and usually those 2 things are enough to put you where you want to be. I think it will be, but you should make sure you know where that is on your board, Harry, because you might need to hit it in a month or so.
We'll see. Well, that will do it for today's show from Travis and I. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And also, catch Pete Fox after every Dodgers game on our YouTube channel with his live postcast. We'll be back on Wednesday. Will the Dodgers still have sole possession of the NL West lead by then, Travis?
I don't know, man. Let's find out tonight. I'm out of the prediction business. I hope so, but who knows?
I need you to tell me who's going to win tonight. I know you're not in the prediction business, but it worked last week. Who's winning tonight?
Well, then if I'm going to reverse jinx this thing, the Angels go 5-0 against the Dodgers this year. And God, I hope that doesn't happen.
Bam. I just needed to hear that because now I feel better. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue. If you're not an everydayer, go check our previous show so you understand the joke right there.